Hi, my name is Namai Laurel, and I'm one of Alcase's students. I've been studying with Al for about 3 years now, and I've had a class of my own that I've been running for about two. And basically, I've decided that we needed to do an interview, or we decided that we were going to do an interview. And
who decided that we were going to do this interview?
You.
I did?
Yes,
Mike did.
We just finished filming part of the Tai Chi program, and then you said, let's go on the interview. So I was like, okay. And I'm here with a list of questions that I think a lot of people might want to know the answers to. And so, yeah, you ready?
Did I really say that?
Yes, you did. You actually did.
Okay.
Okay, first question. How old are you?
I'm almost 58. Be 58 in a week.
Okay. How long have you been doing the martial arts?
Started in '67. So this being 2006. It is 2006.
Yes, it is.
Sometimes when you get this old, your memory starts to fail.
Was that about 39 years?
Yeah, pretty close. I figured this November because I started right before Thanksgiving, I believe, in '67.
Okay. How did you start out in the martial arts?
I was in college, 19 years old, and this guy, big redheaded guy named Ken, he goes, "Gee, there's a karate school in town. Let's go down and see it." And my response was, "What's karate?" And he told me what it was, and I said, "Well, I don't really want to. I think I don't know. I'd rather do something else." And he says, "Well, let's go get a hamburger." I said, "Yeah, I can do that." And he took me to a martial arts studio instead, and I walked in, the guy sold me, it was a Chinese Kempo place, and they sold me 5 lessons for $20. And that was their introductory offer, and
okay.
But basically I said no, I didn't want to.
Nice. Who is your mentor in the martial arts?
The main person that I learned from was a fellow named Bob Babich. And he was probably about 40 when I started. It was the Kang De Quan in San Jose. And Kang De Quan stood for House for Espousing Virtue. And a friend of mine got me down there, and I had seen him working, and I could not believe the power. I'd been 2 years in Kempo, and all of a sudden I started to see this incredible power. And Bob was the best martial artist I've ever seen. He died a couple of years ago. I studied with him for about 7 years. I've never seen anybody move like him. And he had that sixth sense. He could always tell when stuff was happening behind. I always remember the fellow was trying to break a board with one finger at the school. And he's out there, and they're getting ready to break it, and he's like, and all of a sudden, just as he starts to go, Bob goes, "Oh, by the way," and he just totally broke everything up. And that was his sense of humor, this subtle type of, he would do stuff like drive a truck by right in the middle of a shoot. You know what I mean? No, he was a tremendous fellow, and he was the guy I studied with.
Yeah, you've in a lot of your books you have little blurbs, little mentions of him and stories of things that he's done, like there was a bar incident or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And very interesting, very cool.
we would after class we'd go to the we were quite young, and it was a different time there, and after class we would go over to a place called the King's Table on San Jose. I think it's long gone by now, and on the Alameda. And we would go there after class, and along about 2 o'clock they'd shut the doors, and we'd party for another couple of hours. And
who were your fellow students at that time?
God, we had it was such a mishmash because there wasn't any martial arts at the time. There was probably a dozen, maybe 20 schools in the whole Bay Area. I went to the biggest tournament around, and there was only 500 people, and that was it.
Wow.
And that's counting most of the people in the stands too. But we had. God, there was like a glass blower, a couple of cemetery diggers. There was a guy from Ames, the big Ames Research Center at Moffett Field. There was a lot of Hell's Angels and Gypsy Jokers.
Wow.
And it was sort of fun because they would always tell you what technique worked and what technique wouldn't work.
Okay.
And they would tell you from their personal point of view of having used it the night before.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was a blessing, and for some reason I managed to survive in that atmosphere, and I don't really know why, except for the fact that you had these big, huge guys, and whenever they walked into the school, as soon as they stepped foot, they became respectful of Bob. And also just, hi, Mr. Babbage. Glad to see you tonight.
Was Bob a big guy or something?
No, he was a shrimp. He was maybe 5'7", 5'8", maybe 145 pounds, 150 pounds.
Wow.
Very liquid. When he moved, he was more liquid than any person I've ever seen do Tai Chi. And he did it all through karate. In fact, part of his training was Kyokushinkai under Don Buck, who was known as the Tiger of Benicia at the time. And I believe it was a very rough school. But he came out of that, and then he did 4 years with a fellow named Norman Ra, who was from Korea. And he was liquid. He was not... He believed in a hard fist. And
Right.
you look at the pictures, you go, my God, that man has big fists. But he was very, very gentle, very soft-spoken, never heard him raise his voice, very, very extremely polite. But his motion was liquid. That's the only way to describe it. It's like you look at the bones and you go, that bone, it's not like the bone, it wiggles. It's like, you know, it's made of some sort of rubbery compound. And he'd whip it, and it's like, maybe you've seen the guy will hold the pencil and go like this, and the pencil
Right.
looks like it's... Well, his body looked like that when he moved.
Wow.
It was quite amazing, and, you know, interesting.
Well, thank you.
What, did I talk too much?
No, actually, you talked just the right amount.
Okay.
Here's a question. What do you think of Bruce Lee?
I think he is fantastic. I mean, obviously, probably the greatest single martial arts influence of this last century, and probably for a few centuries to come. To be able to be on the screen